The second over of the innings, and Nepal off to a slow start. 3 for no loss in the first over. This is interesting. There's no third man. The third man fielder is inside the circle. There's a batted point. Short extra cover mid-off, mid-on, and mid-wicket, and short fine in the 45 angle. There's a deep square leg, and a sweeper cover to start off with. The second over. This is his first game in this tournament.
He's a good bowler. He's got a slingy action. He's one of a few players who've got some first-class experience as well. Guy in Boudica. You can really tell with the names, can't you? The origin. Born in Sri Lanka. He's played a little bit of cricket there. Not at the first-class level, sorry, but good club level there. He's tended to be very good in T20I cricket. And he's just picked up the first wicket. The troubles at the top of the order continue. It's the angle around the wicket that has cramped up Kushal Bertel, and all he can do is chip it up to the mid-wicket fielder, who takes the simplest of catches. And Qatar, oh, they are delighted with that. They're going to relish playing the party poopers because Bertel is gone.
Yes, he just played it in front of his legs. That's a very good catch, smart catch. Didn't time it, straight to the short midfielder. I think Bertel tried to hit it over his head, but hit it straight to him. He's gone for 2. Bad runs continues for him in this tournament. It's 3 for 1.
Okay, boys, in this pitch what we need is speed. We need to be fast. Got it, coach. Who's the fastest? Whirling. Okay, whirling. Whirling.
सबैलाई थाहा छ इन्टरनेटको स्पिड र सर्भिस दुवैमा फास्टेस्ट whirling नै हो.
This is the fastest. Litmus cable क्वालिटीमा नम्बर 1 हुनको राज हो एडभान्स जर्मन टेक्नोलोजी. Litmus cable क्वालिटीमा नम्बर 1.
Bim Sharkey to the crease. He's in at number 3, and he's in early again. The troubles at the top continue for Nepal. Good slingy action. You think he's got shades of Mitchell Johnson. Not quite the same pace as Mitchell Johnson, but certainly that load up. I can see what you mean, Paresh.
Yes, and the load up and the release point is exactly similar to Mitchell Johnson. Not that pace, not that height. This is another bowler from Qatar who fancies bowling around the wicket to the right-hander in the start with the new ball. Bim Sharkey, as in the second match against Oman, has come into the crease early. Look at that load up and release point. He resembles Mitchell Johnson. A first breakthrough for Qatar in the second over. A big fish gone back in the hut. Kushal Bertel.
I've seen lots of messages in social media about the slight lack of runs at the top of the order for Bertel and Sheikh over a very small sample size, I'd like to add. This is just the 3rd innings for the batters in this competition. Lovely cover drive straight to the man. I think it's too small a sample size to even comment upon, because if you look at the conditions that Bilal Khan and Kalimullah bowled in that game against Oman, it was almost like an English morning in April. The ball was hooping around corners. It was very, very difficult for the batters. And in the Malaysia game, It was the middle order that dominated, really. I think they'll stick with the same opening pairing for the final two games, whatever happens, but certainly they'd like a few more runs from both Bertel and Sheikh, although Sheikh's yet to face the ball, and Bim Sharkey will keep the strike. 2 overs have been bowled, it's 4 for 1.
Congestion ahead, you are on the fastest route. Rerouting.
The all-new Pulsar N160 with dual-channel ABS.
You've reached your destination.
अब हरेक 2.25 लिटर स्प्राइटसँग 2 PM अकबरे चिकन नुडल्स सित्तैमा।
Ikramullah, the first wicket taker for Qatar, is going to continue from the Chobar end. First strike, first blood for Qatar, taking the wicket of Kushal Bhurtel.
I think Nepal will be well served not to underestimate Qatar. They're a fine side, particularly a fine bowling side. We've seen in their performances thus far in this tournament, they very nearly upset Oman in that opening game. Yes, they were disappointing against Saudi Arabia, who outplayed them. But I have to say, I thought that their bowling attack has plenty of potential. Some good spinners as well as the 3 left-arm seamers. If we look at the games that they've played so far, they may have played 3 and lost 3. They ran Oman very close, losing by 40 runs. Yes, they were disappointing, but that was really with the bat against Saudi Arabia, where they only posted 216 on a good batting wicket. And then it was a final over thriller against Malaysia, who just got the better of them, but a marvellous innings from Syed Aziz took that game away from them. So Nepal, they cannot underestimate any opposition. They know that historically. And they're in early trouble, and the ball's moving around, but Sharkey gets that one through the gap. Outfield, it's still rapid, and it's going to be 4, the first boundary of the final day of the group stages.
Yes, that got the inner half of the bat, the first boundary for Nepal and Bim Sharkey. Look at that, tried to play it on the offside, but got the inner half of the bat going towards mid-wicket. You can see that outfield is still electric. The ball rolling into the ropes. Bim Sharkey off to a good start, hitting his first boundary.
Playing a miss. A little bit of bounce, bit of carry through from Ikramullah. It's rare you see left armers use this angle right from the start. They tend to be used in the middle overs of 50 over clashes, sometimes towards the death of T20 games, but these left armers, they're coming over the wicket, not at all, around the wicket. They're using that angle and they're closing off the options for the right-handers, and it's started very effectively. You've got to be tight with your line. Sharky's quick, so he'll get home for the single. Do you think there's a reason they don't go over the wicket, Paresh? Is it because they're not swinging the ball back into the right-hander?
Yeah, because he's using that angle, bowling around the wicket. I think he's used to it, and he's pitching the ball very outside the off stump, and with that angle, he's getting the ball to come sharply into the right-hander. That is why he's so comfortable bowling around the wicket in the start with the new ball. That has shown his effectiveness, taking the wicket of Kushal Bhurtel with that angle as well. It'll be very difficult for the batters to play those angle deliveries coming around the wicket by the left-hander.
Asif Sheikh, he finally faces the ball and it's a dot. 3 overs have been bowled, it's 9 for 1.
दादा यो भाइरस छ
नडराउ मात्र पम्प र छु गर्दियो भाइरसलाई
पम्प र छु
हो लाइफबोय ह्यान्ड वाशले मार्छ 99.9% भाइरसेस त्यसैले पम्प रब छु संसारकै नम्बर 1 सेलिङ जर्म प्रोटेक्सन सोप ब्रान्ड
Round the wicket, the left-hander. He is the one who's taken the wicket of Kushal Bhurtel. A good first over by him. Again, good length by him. The ball coming sharply into the right-hander. This is a good start for Qatar. A probing start by Qatar. It's an interesting field. The ball is coming in very sharply to the right-hander, bowling round the wicket. The left-hander, there's a short find, a deep square leg, and I don't know why there's a sweeper cover in place. It would be very hard for the batsman to play in that area because the bowling coming sharply into them. You can see that again. The length is perfect, back of the length.
Yeah, certainly not the start that Nepal will have wanted. Also not really the toss result they'd have wanted either, I don't think. They would have liked to have bowled first. But batting first does give them a chance. The full innings together, remember they batted first against Oman in very difficult conditions, close to 310. And that is an outrageous stroke. And Bim Sharkey's going to pay the price. It's the 4th over of a 50-over game. The ball's doing a bit, and he's tried to reverse, scoop it away for 4. But even with that shot on, there's a man at deep third, so maybe the best case result is a single. A moment of madness here for Sharkey. He's gone.
Yes, a terrible shot attempted by Bim Sharkey. That came out of nowhere. It's just look at that, taking the gloves. The ball was coming in, bouncing, and that's a very, very poor shot by Bim Sharkey. He must be riveted with himself. Look at the ball, it's coming into the face and sending him back to the pavilion. Bim Sharkey gone for 6. Nepal is a spot of bother, 9 for 2.
Congestion ahead. You are on the fastest route. Rerouting. Rerouting.
The all-new Pulsar N160 with dual channel ABS.
You've reached your destination.
Litmus cable quality man number 1 huneko raj ho, advanced German technology. Litmus cable quality man number 1.
Well, big trouble. Big trouble early. Our job up here, we have to call it as we see it. Paresh. And that stroke from Bim Sharkey, it's left a bit to be desired. There's a man there at third. Don't understand this stroke. In a T20 international, absolutely, maybe trying to exploit the power play, the first 6. But look at the reaction from the bowler. Big send-off. There's pace, there's bounce, there's good carry. That, even if it goes for 4, is a very low percentage shot in my book. As Rohit Paudel gets off the mark immediately. Just the man for a crisis. He's had to be a couple of times in this tournament, and he flicks it away for 4.
Yeah, this is the difference between Rohit Kumar Paudel and Bim Sharkey. The approach. Look at that. He just waited for the ball. It was on his pads. Just flicked it away down to fine leg for 4 runs. Look at that. He played it late. Let the ball come to him. That is the difference between Rohit Kumar Paudel and Bim Sharkey. The approach.
The other thing we have to do up here in the commentary box, we can't apply results-based thinking. So if that is paddled away for 4 and he gets an edge wide of the keeper, I don't think we can say brilliant shot, because it's not necessarily the percentage call at this stage of the game. It's a 50-over clash. You've got 300 balls to play. And we tend to see with these balls, 2 new balls in operation, we've said it over and over again, 8 to 10 overs of movement, that's it. Then it flattens out, the good batting conditions come into play, and you can cash in and take advantage. And the thing that surprises me about that shot is that Bim Sharkey got through a really difficult patch against Bilal Khan of Oman, another left arm seamer, where the ball was swinging back into him and he looked in all sorts of trouble, but he battled through that period. And that was actually a key knock, even though he didn't kick on, to assist Nepal in posting over 300 in that match alongside Rohit Paudal's innings. Got to get through difficult periods sometimes when you lose the toss and you're inserted to bat with 9 a.m. starts. Nepal are in early trouble. They're 14 for 2.
Litmus cable quality mein number 1 hone ko raaj ho advanced German technology. Litmus cable quality mein number 1.
अब हरेक 2.25 लिटर स्प्राइट सँग 2 PM अकबरे चिकन नुडल्स सित्तैमा
Ikramullah to continue. Qatar off to a very good start, taking 2 wickets inside 5 overs, winning the toss and electing to field first. At the toss, Rohit said that it'll be difficult to bat the first 30 to 45 minutes. That is what they're eyeing for, just stay there. That is what was not done by the batters Kushal Patel and Bim Sharkey. Talking about Bim Sharkey, that was a very poor selection of shot.
Yeah, and certainly the stroke we're talking about, it's not the outcome of the shot. Yes, he's been dismissed from it. I think we would have been as critical, or I hope we would have been as critical, even if he'd played and missed, or even if it had run away for 4. You talk about exploiting fields. That shot wasn't even necessarily exploiting a field. And what it's done is it's put Nepal in trouble. The captain's indicated we need to get through 30 or 45 minutes. That's not getting through. The game's evolved. I'm not saying you can't play that shot. It's a genuine option for plenty of batters these days. But off a bowler who's pushing it up above 130 kilometres an hour with a new ball in his hand, we'd already seen 1 or 2 bounce. And we even saw Sharkey indicate that as he played underneath one. You have to say that's an incredibly low percentage stroke. And what low percentage stroke means is that if you attempted that 100 times, how many times are you going to play it effectively and safely and pick up runs? What's the risk reward on it? I reckon you could try to play that stroke 100 times. You might implement it with a new ball coming in at you 15 or 20. It's very, very risky, and it's put Nepal in big trouble early. Much more like it from Rohit Paudal. Use the pace in the ball, work it around, get 1s and 2s, the occasional boundary, and get through this first power play.
I would even say 5 to 10 only out of 100, Lenny. It's very difficult to get those with the new ball, the bouncing ball, with the angle these bowlers are bowling with. Yeah, I told you about the approach of the captain and Bim Sharkey. The approach was very wrong from Bim Sharkey. That was not necessary to in the initial stages. Just the 4th over that he played that shot, that was totally unnecessary by him. Lost a wicket and put your country under pressure.
And the interesting thing is that Bim Sharkey has been seen as the answer at number 3 for Nepal. Gyanendra Malla currently in the squad but out of the team. They have all his experience, and I know how the fan forums work. They're going to be talking now. They're going to say, well, should Gyanendra Malla come in for the semi-final? Before people get overly excited and say, what about Arjun Saud? Can't do that. You've got to use the 14-player squad you have here. Unless there's an injury, you can't go outside of them. So it's only Malla, Karen KC and Pratish GC that could be called in. Good change of pace from Ikramullah. Excellent start from Qatar. Halfway through the first power play, it's 17 for 2.
Congestion ahead. You are on the fastest route. Rerouting.
The all-new Pulsar N160 with dual channel ABS.
You've reached your destination.
Litmus cable quality mein number 1 hone ko raaj ho advanced German technology. Litmus cable quality mein number 1.
guy, Buddhika is going to continue. 2 wickets for him in 2 overs. Nicely clipped off his pads by Rohit Podell. But there's a fine leg in place in the deep. Initially for Buddhika, there was a short fine in place.
Let's talk about this around the wicket angle. Probably not something you faced a huge amount of in your career, left arm around. It's kind of come a little bit trendy into vogue. Where would you set up? Where would you bat? We see Rohit Podell there. Is he batting a little bit more on sort of middle and off rather than middle and leg? He seems to be kind of coming across the ball, trying to work everything to the leg side, trusting his hands, trusting his eyes. The bowlers are both coming very wide of the crease.
Yes, the bowler is going very wide off the crease. If I was there, I would have just opened my left shoulder, but bat on the leg stump. That would have given me a chance to play on the leg side more, because the ball is swinging into you.
Would that not bring the slips into play? Would you not be worried if you're playing through the offside, then you're playing away from your body? What we're seeing with Podell is he's really coming across his stumps. Sheikh looks like he has a different approach. And Sheikh is going to get off the mark. Nicely guided into the offside. Just a smattering of applause. The fans really starting to come in across the grass banks. A reminder, if you do want to come, you can buy the tickets in advance, get a 25% discount if you get them online, or if you come down in person, 200 rupees on the gate. And hopefully, myself and Presh might get up to meet a few of you on the grass banks.
Yes, we might. And talking about the left arm bowlers coming round the wicket, I would have my left shoulder a bit open stance, so that I can even play on the offside and more on the leg side, because the ball is very angling. Yeah, right. Like those balls, I can just defend it or just try to guide it down the third man, because the third man feelers it inside the circle. That is an option.
What we're seeing though with Podell is a very different approach, isn't it? It looks to me like he's batting on middle and off stump. So he's covering all of his stumps, and then his trigger movement, which is his initial press as a batter, that's actually putting him even further across his stumps. So the one thing he might be prone to with this approach is a in-swinging Yorker, one that comes in and traps him right in front. But he's trusting his hand-eye coordination. Look at his setup here as we come back to the main view. Batting on middle and off. The trigger movement moves it across. That's pitched on off stump, but he's whipping it into the leg side. It's an approach that Jonathan Trott used really successfully. Steve Smith uses a lot as well. If you've got good hand-eye coordination like Rohit Podell does, it really closes down that threat from around the wicket. Good execution of technique from Rohit Podell.
Yes, very right. If you trust your judgment, if you trust your hand-eye coordination, that is a very good approach for the left-arm medium pacers who are bowling round the wicket with that angle into you. A very good approach by Rohit Podell. Talking about Asif Sheikh, it's not that kind of it's a different approach by him. He just played 5 balls. Nicely driven that down over the cover area for a boundary.
Beautiful way to finish the 6th over. Sheikh gets his account starting to motor. It's 26 for 2.
दादा बाहिर भाइरस छ
नडराउ मात्र पम्प र छु गर्दियो भाइरसलाई
पम्प र छु
हो लाइफ बोय ह्यान्ड वाशले मार्छ 99.9% भाइरसेस त्यसैले पम्प रब छु संसारकै नम्बर 1 सेलिङ जर्म प्रोटेक्सन सोप ब्रान्ड
This trial by left arm seam will continue. Nicely played again, very elegant from Podell. there are two contrasting approaches. Paresh being shown here by two of Nepal's star young batters. But there's nothing wrong with that. Equally effective. Everyone has their own method as a cricketer. And as long as you know what your game plan is, you can trust your technique, you can still implement it and score runs.
It's all about trusting your techniques, trusting your hand-eye coordination as well. Two different approaches. Look at this again. The ball sharply coming into the right-hander. It was flicked off the middle stump, mind you. Misfield there that allows them to take 2 runs. They were looking for 3.
And if you're wondering just how different the approaches are, you can actually, if you're watching on OSR Sports on YouTube or the Asian Cricket Council on YouTube, if you're around the world or even down in India on fan code, you can actually press pause. If you pause it at the point of release, so not here in the setup, point of release of the bowler, what you'll be able to see when Asif Sheikh is batting is you will see all 3 stumps. When Rohit Paudel is on strike, you're barely seeing the off stump. So there you saw all 3 stumps. Maybe just a little bit of leg stump covered up by the back leg of Asif Sheikh. But when Paudel's on strike, he's well across his stumps. And what that tends to make bowlers think is he's an LBW candidate. I'll pin him LBW. So they bowl a little bit straighter. But as Steve Smith and Jonathan Trott have shown bowlers for decades and thousands of runs, their hand-eye coordination is that good they just don't miss, or they very rarely miss. And then when they bowl that line, that's the one Paudel would have whipped away for 4, I think. Whereas Sheikh, because he's got a different approach, he'll be more profitable through the offside. Paudel will be stronger through the leg.
Yeah, I would also like to add one more batsman, a world-class batsman in that top 2 list, Virat Kohli. If the ball coming round the wicket by the left-hander, he will also do the same as Rohit Paudel is doing. Just coming across the stumps, he would have flicked every ball on the middle stump to the boundary. He always trusts his hand-eye coordination. A slower ball, nicely played with soft hands for a single. This is what these 2 batsmen should do. If they're a boundary ball, they can hit it. If there's not, just play with soft hands, rotate the strike, just frustrate the bowlers.
Yeah, Kohli's a great shout. Actually, how we left it. Have I forgotten about him? He's the king of that, King Kohli. But also for Nepal, this is a really good examination of the technique that could be tested if they did get to a final against Oman. They can't play Oman in the semis, obviously, in the same group. But if Oman won their semi and Nepal won theirs, Bilal Khan around the wicket, in the death overs in particular, will be a similar test. Paudel says, no, Asif Sheikh, go back. They won't get a run off the overthrow. We will have a change in commentary after this. I'll bid you adieu for the moment. It's 30 for 2.
Congestion ahead. You are on the fastest route. Rerouting.
The all-new Pulsar N160 with dual channel ABS.
You've reached your destination.
Okay, boys, in this pitch what we need is speed. We need to be fast. Got it, coach. Who's the fastest? Okay, Whirling.
सबैलाई थाहा छ इन्टरनेटको स्पिड र सर्भिस दुवैमा फास्टेस्ट वर्ल्डिङ नै हो.
This is the fastest.
And Asif Sheikh, Bhuttal gone for 2, and Bhim Sharkey played that very poor shot, gone for 6. And I would like to invite Sharad Biswakar here in the commentary box. Good morning, Sharad.
Good morning, Parish. Good morning to everyone listening to us around the world. It's Nepal versus Qatar today. Having a good morning, Parish. How is it going for you?
Yeah, I'm having a very good morning. A bit hazy day. It was a bright sunny morning, but it turns out to be a hazy day. We were talking about the approach to play against the left arm round the wicket with the new ball. We've seen two different approaches from Rohit Bodel and Asif Sheikh. What would have been your approach? You have batted at number 3, at number 4, and batted in the middle order as a finisher for your team, for the national side. That's driven down the ground, straight to mid-off, but a single taken by these two batsmen. They are quick in between the wickets. Yeah, coming back to that approach, what would your approach be?
Well, it's about knowing your game, Parish, knowing what your strengths are. If you know your game well and you know the bowler's angle and the kind of balls he's bowling at you, you can use that to your advantage and have some tactical plans against them. I was enjoying your discussion with Lenny about the approaches you can have. See Asif and Rohit completely different in their approach, but equally effective in their own ways. I would love to bat around the middle stump. In such an angle coming in, it's very difficult to get an LBW for the bowler, so cover the stumps, play with the angle in the leg side.